It's quite a Sunday when we have Palm Sunday and Passion Sunday on the same day, isn't it? I had a conversation with my co-op cohort through the seminary on Wednesday about this. In recent years, many of us have become accustomed to this sort of combination service where we have our Palm Sunday procession and then we include that Passion narrative. And it's sort of disjointed for many of us, isn't it? Especially if you remember years ago when you would only have Palm Sunday. Do any of you remember that? Where Palm Sunday was Palm Sunday. Chris is nodding her head. Do you miss it, Chris?
Yeah.
I do too. So a friend of mine in Wisconsin, he is fairly new to worship leadership. He was deeply grieved when he discovered that the lectionary doesn't really support an option for just Palm Sunday anymore. It really recommends that you do both, and he could not understand why this would be the case. He said, what are Maundy Thursday and Good Friday for? That's when you should do them. And together we sought to figure out what in the world had changed that this was no longer the case. We determined, sadly, that since fewer people attend those midweek services, that the Passion almost had to be covered on a Sunday in order to provide continuity leading up to Easter. So as a result, we enter the sanctuary, celebrating the triumphant entry of Jesus into Jerusalem, and we also hear the narrative of the death of Jesus in the same day. There is expectation and there is joy, there's sadness and grief. Perhaps the short-lived joy of our entry this morning is symbolic of the short-lived joy experienced by Jesus as he entered Jerusalem. And just as Jesus moved swiftly from celebration into death, so do we as we near the end of our own Lenten journey. So as we think about how to fit in this day in Lent, where do we fit in? We may want to stop at Palm Sunday and stay a while. As I was mentioning, I was nodding with Chris, we like Palm Sunday. We want to stay in that celebration mode. We've been in sort of a, you're in that quiet, introspective time. You're in this time of sacrifice and prayer and fasting. And this thought of this small celebration, this moment of happiness, it seems like such a nice place to be, doesn't it? And as nice as it is, we aren't really called to sit still there, are we? We are pulled forward, out of our comfort zone and into a chaotic world where things happen outside our control. It is in these moments and in these places where we can connect with Jesus on a deeper level. I am deeply grieved, even to death. Remain here and stay awake with me. These are the words Jesus says to Peter, James, and John, asking them to stay awake while he prayed in the Garden of Gethsemane. Just like any of us, Jesus feels he needs those closest to him to be physically present during a time of crisis. I know that's how I am. If I'm having an emotional time, if something is happening in my life, I know that I want somebody to be physically close to me, even if they are offering nothing other than a hug. Having somebody physically present, it just makes a world of difference. Jesus knows that he will submit to God's will and do what is necessary, but as he said, he's feeling weak. All he wants is the comfort of his friends. He really isn't asking for that much, is he? And yet, they can't do it. They can't offer him that comfort that he desires. Though he keeps waking them, irritated, they sleep on. We read this and we feel bad that Jesus has to go through these final moments of freedom utterly alone. How can they sleep at a time like this? And can they not just keep each other awake? How difficult could that have been? He's praying over there. Let's just speak quietly amongst ourselves. Maybe stay awake. That's all he's asking them to do, is stay awake. And they can't do it. And then we have Peter, who Jesus predicts will deny him 3 times. And Peter is so convinced that this won't ever happen. But he allows fear to dictate his actions and words when it comes down to it. Before he knows it, morning has come, and it turns out Jesus is right. Whenever Peter is questioned, he denies ever knowing Jesus. And not just a simple no, but he vehemently denies knowing Jesus. He takes the easy way out, and in doing so, fulfills the prophecy of Jesus. He feels bad, but it is too late to correct the situation. So easy to judge them, isn't it? And I'm standing here, and I have a microphone, and I'm judging them. And it's so easy for us to do that. We look at it and we say, why couldn't you stay awake? What is your problem? In reality, though, it's so easy for us to be just like them. The circumstances may be different, and our reactions may be different, but we tend to do the same things these disciples are doing. Maybe it isn't sleep, specifically, which keeps us from doing what Jesus asks us to do. Sleep can be a metaphor for all of those things which we selfishly indulge in to keep our minds off of something that's painfully inevitable or something we just don't want to face. Perhaps we bury ourselves in work, escape inside the pages of a book, or even in front of a screen. Instead of taking our duty head on, we bury our heads in the sand. We know what must be done, and we talk a good game, like Peter, but so many times, like the disciples, we sleep when we need to take action. We have a tendency to make things all about ourselves and how we function in the here and now. And sometimes we end up missing the bigger picture. The world outside our homes and churches, or the world of tomorrow, or even the world 10 years from now. We focus on today and on our self-preservation. We long for the celebration of Palm Sunday, a respite in the weariness of Lent. But if we keep moving forward through the pain and grief of Maundy Thursday and Good Friday, we will have an even larger occasion to rejoice as Jesus is resurrected on Easter Sunday. So let us start looking at Sunday worship maybe a little differently. Let us look at this as our place of rest. We can praise, we receive forgiveness, and we connect with God and with our other brothers and sisters in Christ. But it is our place to rest and recharge. Sunday worship is not to be confused with our call to serve in the world. That work is done outside these walls. That is the real work, and that is work that we cannot hide away from. We cannot sleep when we have to do that work. Let us find our rest here so that we don't have to sleep out there when we're doing our work to serve. Jesus said, "Stay awake with me." So I invite you to stay awake in the world and courageously do all those things that we are called to do, even if we don't necessarily want to do them. Stay awake with me. Amen.